That is James Mennie. He is over at the Montreal Gazette. And Jim, earlier in the show, we went to CAQ headquarters because apparently they're abandoning the CAQ ship. I mean, one after another. Take a listen to this. This is Christian Dubé, Genevieve Guilbeault, Sonia Lebel, Andre Laforêt. Okay, I got most of them, I think. You know what? It went from I want to be leader, I'm thinking about being leader, I have a team I want to put together to be leader, to, you know what, not only do I not want to be leader, I don't want to run in politics anymore, I'm done. What do you make of this?
What I find fascinating is there's this kind of surreal membrane of normalcy that's being applied to the Coalition Avenir Québec by a lot of media outlets. It's like, everything is normal, everything's fine, Legault's going to leave, there's going to be a leadership contest, and they're done. People are, as you quite rightly point out, people are jumping ship, and these are the high-profile ones. I mean, Genevieve Guilbeault, I'm sure it is the merest coincidence that she decided to announce this, 2 days after it was announced that she would be cited, not in a very positive light, but in the Galon inquiry. God knows who else is going to be named in there. Sonia Lebel, who really was a stalwart for that party, former prosecutor with the Charbonneau inquiry, Treasury Board president during the very acrimonious and hard-nosed negotiations with the public sector unions, thrown into the education portfolio, because it was clear that M. Drainville was kind of in over his head, and now he's been moving to environment. And this idea that all these people, they decided, it's enough. And by all means, say what you want. But the fact of the matter is, the one-man show, the one man is gone. And your future can be measured, your political future can be measured in months, if not weeks. And the fact is, you have nothing fresh. You have nothing new to offer the people of Quebec. And with all due respect to Christine Fréchette, who seems to be the front runner right now, I'm sorry, but the damage has been done. The brand has been so blown up to hell 11 times by François Legault and his merry band of incompetence. I think a new face at the top of the organogram isn't going to change anything. But as I said last week, the big question now isn't where the big names are going to go. What's going to happen in the meantime between these, these 70 or so MNAs who form the bulk of the non-cabinet supermajority of the CAQ? Are they going to stick with the party? Will they form their own party? Will they simply say, you know what, that's it for us. We want to spend more time with our families, so we're not going to be seeking re-election. I've never seen. I knew this was going to happen. Honestly, Aaron, I didn't think it was going to happen so fast. I didn't think that there would be this kind of acceleration in terms of people making it clear, I'm out of here, I'm gone. So this is, if you may have questions, perhaps you want to pose them to my successor, because I'm not going to be in the game anymore. But man, to go from two consecutive majorities, supermajorities, to this, as you say, the sounds of splashing, of people jumping off ship. And we've still basically got another 9 months till the election. But yeah, it's just amazing to see it all unfold. And it'll, I'm sure you and I are not done talking about this, even for this month. I'm sure you're going to see other people suddenly discover that, you know what, maybe it's time to move on. Or as Madame Lebel or Meg Lebel said today, to turn the page. And I'm sure that for a lot of people who want to have a life after politics, and with all due respect to their reputations, the sooner you put distance between you and the CAQ, the better off you're going to be.
Yeah, which, to the point of Genevieve Guilbeault, let's remember, Jim, that last week, not only were we talking about her potentially as a successor, but saying that, she's got a team, she's already poking around at this, and then suddenly, no, which kind of makes me ask the question, what does this say about the party itself, or does it?
I think it says more about the Galland inquiry, and I think the findings of that. And, when you and I were talking about Legault, I know it seems like a month and a half ago, it was last week that he announced he's leaving the party. My gut told me this, it may not be the exclusive reason for it, but I think the findings of that Galland inquiry are going to be utterly understandable and utterly enrageable for the base, the core, the real fundamental supporters of the CAQ in terms of the incompetence, the potential malfeasance, the idea that these $500 million, Aaron, suddenly it seems to have been spent with nobody really knowing what was going on. And this literally beneath the noses of the premier and the vice premier and the cabinet. And no one seems to have done anything, even though we had, remember, although he's since resigned, we had a minister responsible for, digital transformation. Well, the digital transformation apparently involves making lots of money disappear. But the fact of the matter is, I really think that when the Galland report lands, if you don't see people scampering out of the way before its arrival, you will see afterwards. I think you're going to see a huge explosion with this report.
All right, let's move on to talk about the other story. I started the show by talking about this today, and I'm going to come back and ask our audience what they think. This idea now about Greenland and Donald Trump, which was broached earlier, but it seems to have picked up steam over the past couple of days. And then there was, of course, the moment today, earlier, Jim, and I'm sure you've seen that post, the text that Donald Trump sent to the Prime Minister of Norway saying that, what, this is all happening, this whole Greenland fiasco, over the fact that he wasn't awarded the Nobel Peace Prize. I mean, if you didn't know this was real, you'd think for sure this was, made up, but it turns out it was entirely true.
It was entirely true. And the part, as I've always said, no matter what the latest, foul up that Donald Trump has foisted upon the world, the fact is, they're treating this guy like he's normal. They're treating this guy like he's a prick. Well, it's U.S. President Donald Trump today said that, he was angry he didn't get a Nobel Peace Prize, so that's why he wants to take over Greenland. The guy is demonstrably nuts. He is surrounded by a bunch of bootlickers. And now the question is, and, I'm very sorry. I mean, sometimes we joke about this. This ain't no joke. This isn't Trump being funny. The fact those troops are being deployed in Greenland, and perhaps Canadian troops now being deployed in Greenland, is a very serious message to Trump, or perhaps more importantly to his military. Put up or shut up. We're NATO allies. You want to come in here? You think this is Venezuela? Bring it on. But understand, this is the Rubicon. Trump will never even understand what that word means, okay? But the fact of the matter is, you make this move, all bets are off. And now, mind you, is it rumors? Is it wishful thinking? Over the past few days, there have been rumblings that even within the military itself, it's like they're reaching the breaking point now, saying, we are now in over. This is not a matter about blowing up suspected drug smuggling boats or abducting the president of Venezuela, who is an even bigger crook than the president of the United States. This is a matter of essentially going toe-to-toe with our NATO allies. Where do we want to go on this? And that's where we are. And you can turn around and say there's the whole taco, Trump always chickens out factor, and that this is all just bluff and he'll find some way to try to weasel out of it. But then between that and between the, and I love this because you were just talking about it before, this whole idea of the Gaza Peace Institute, or just the Peace Institute, and it's $1 billion buy-in? What the hell is this? A casino? Is this where the high rollers go to play? It is completely off the wall. This is nuts. This is madness. And we're talking about it like it's U.S. foreign policy, because guess what? It is, at least for the time being. So, when you kind of realize the position that not just Mark Carney, but a lot of heads of state find themselves in. Although I don't know if you've noticed this, Aaron, just in terms of people observing what's going on between the U.S. and the rest of the world, is it just me, or are a lot of people sort of suggesting that maybe Canada is the tip of the lance when it comes to the opposition, to opposing Donald Trump, to pushing back to Donald Trump? Because I'm getting that impression that people are, especially now with as you say, what may or may not be a deal with China, the idea that, enough now, we're going to start going our own way, and we don't really care what you think about this.
I got to wonder, though, Jim, at some point, the idea that, Canada, to your point, is sort of standing out as the country that is pushing back. I mean, end of the day, we're their closest neighbors. I'm still baffled by the reaction last week by Donald Trump after Mark Carney announced that China trade deal, right? And someone asked Trump, and he was like, oh, well, Canada, good for them. They made this deal. That's what you should be doing. And I thought, do you not understand what just happened, or did he not have all the facts? But facts have never really gotten in the way to begin with.
I think he got gobsmacked. I think he had no idea what was going on. I think his entourage was keeping any details from, because I don't think he's being actually briefed. And I think when the news came out, and don't forget, China is his pet project. China is supposed to be the dragon that he wrestles to the ground. And here's this country that he keeps saying he wants to take over, has apparently cut a deal with them, and done so in a very public and positive manner. I really think he was gobsmacked. I think he didn't know what to say. So he says, for the time being, he'll say, "Oh yeah, you got to deal with China. That's good for you." I'm sure he'll find a way to stomp all over that down the road. But as I say, this is what's crazy, Aaron. Whether we're talking about the deal with China or taking over Greenland, listen to us. It's like January of 2026. How long can anyone put up with this? That's what I want to know.
Jim, it's only a year into the term. It's hard to believe. It feels like it's been 3 years already. But you know what?
When he got elected, I said he's not going to. I'd be surprised if he finished the first half of his term. We're entering the second half of the first half of his term. We'll see what's happened. But I got to tell you, buddy, things are just going so over the top now. I don't see how this can be sustained.
Let me ask you the question I'm going to ask when we get done here on this idea, because we know today from apparently a Canadian diplomat, a federal government source anyway, said, Canada's considering sending a small number of Canadian soldiers as part of a training exercise to Greenland. What do you think? We should or shouldn't?
Absolutely should. If we can maintain a battle group in I think it's Lithuania still, to keep an eye on Vladimir Putin, I think we can deploy a contingent in Greenland to keep an eye on Donald Trump. If only to see if he's going to blink. I think he will. I really think he will. I don't see him calling it. I don't see his commanders calling it in. But I mean, we'll see what happens. But absolutely, to turn around at this point and sit on your hands is really basically, hand him the keys to the city, because that's what you've done. The only thing this guy understands is pushback. So we'll see what happens.
Leave it at that. Jim, thank you. I appreciate it.
I'm Luke Wilson. Join me each week for Film Never Lies. Since retiring from the NFL, I've had a lot on my mind, and now I've got my own show. So if you're tired of lazy takes, if you want honest conversations, join us each week. Film Never Lies, available on all TSN platforms and the iHeartRadio app.